Good morning, people. Welcome back to another video. It's Stephen here on the 16th of January, halfway through the January transfer window, talking all things Manchester City, talking all things transfers, because that, of course, is the most exciting thing to talk about in January. Are you good? Are you well? Are you recovered from the Brentford disappointment? I am personally, as I said after the game, which was sort of controversial. I was reasonably calm about that. Obviously, the manner of the points dropped was painful, but the overall performance and the result, it wasn't unexpected. I actually thought City played all right as well, and Brentford are the second best team in the league right now with their home record. So, yeah, I was pretty calm about it. Volume's a bit low, is it? Let me double check there what's going on. Someone said the volume's a little bit low at my end. Oh, it does look a bit low, actually. I'm not sure why. I don't know, maybe something's going on. My computer decides sometimes just to make things low. There we go. Is that any better? That should be better, hopefully. Fingers crossed it will be. There we go. Anyway, are you well? Please give the video a like and subscribe if you are new to the channel as well. It always does help. Today, we're going to talk about Omar Marmoush and the latest of Abdukodir, Khusanov and Vitor Reis as well, the Brazilian wonder kid who's close to joining. Fingers crossed we'll have him available for the weekend. That would be very nice, wouldn't it? Fingers crossed we have a new striker available for the weekend as well. It feels very unlikely at this point. It's Thursday. Lagging a bit now. I don't know what to do about that. I can't. Once I started the video, if it starts lagging, there's nothing I can do, unfortunately. Encoding overloaded. Consider turning. What's going on there? No idea what that means. Yeah. Fingers crossed it should be okay now. I don't know. Yeah, if it's lagging, I apologise. I can't really fix it once you're on the stream because it means stopping the video, stopping the internet, which is sort of catch-22. Anyway, here where we're at. So I'll go to the latest bit of news about Omar Marmoush because I think we're all here for that. Now, obviously, there was lots of people suggesting it was already done. Be wary of false prophets is what I will say. Be wary of anonymous people claiming to know a lot about transfers. If there's an anonymous account that claims something is done and they have a catchphrase like Fabrizio Romano, they're probably blagging it a little bit. That's my experience of the internet anyway. So, I just be wary of people who are anonymous, who claim to know the inner workings of Brazilian transfers, Saudi transfers, Dutch transfers, and Italian transfers. Be realistic. That's what I will say about your expectations of the internet. I'm not naming any names, but it's one of those things where I feel like I've said it all before. Anyone pretending to be a transfer expert online anonymously is probably some young lad sat in his bedroom at home looking for a bit of attention. That's my experience of the internet anyway, and I know because I've spoken to a couple of them, and it's very obvious and transparent when it happens that they're just as clueless as the rest of us, and they like to time their tweets very well. Anyway, so the deal isn't done. Sam Lee and Sebastian Stefan Blur have reported that City had a bid rejected for Omar Marmoush. Sources close to the deal say the bid was too low, but his expectation agreement will be reached. Marmoush will remain in the squad for Frankfurt versus Dortmund on Friday. Look, they're playing tomorrow. At this point, the deal is going to have to be done today. Otherwise, he'll play against Dortmund. I'm sure they would love him to be involved against Dortmund because he's been absolutely brilliant. A goal and 2 assists the other night as well when City were playing Brentford. The guy is absolutely phenomenal. He's in ridiculous form. I truly think he's the player that we need. Watching Manchester City waste chance after chance against Brentford has convinced me more than anything that we need another killer, and Omar Marmoush could be that man. So I'm feeling pretty relaxed about this getting done. I don't know if it will. I can't guarantee it, but I suspect it probably will do. I'll go through all the news from yesterday. I'll scroll backwards through the news. So Fabrizio has been tweeting about it again today. Let me just find one of his tweets. Scrolling through the aggregators. Where's your man, Fab? Also, Florian Plettenberg has said that further negotiations took place. No agreement was reached. They're remaining firm on the €80 million asking price. It feels... I mean, Ben Jacobs tweeted City going to put in a bid today. Well, I mean, obviously, mate. I think that feels obvious. That's one of those things where if I was to sit here, it's probably true, but I don't think Ben Jacobs needs to tell us. It's very obvious that Manchester City want this player, and I don't think Manchester City want him more to play more games because why would you? Every game he plays is another step towards potential injury or whatever. So I don't really feel we can read too much into stuff like this. City will bid again, of course. There was reports that a delegation have flown out to Germany to try and get it done as well. So I am expecting there to be more on this. Look, City clearly want to get it done. And I'd be amazed if at this point City have reached the upper limits of their budget for this. I sometimes find myself wondering, by the way, how many transfers failed because someone's just left on read. You know what I mean? Like, I do wonder. Like, I am bad at getting back to people. People who are bad at getting back to people also work in football too. Do you ever reckon someone emails a bid and they go, right, I need to speak to the board about this. I need to speak to the chairman. And the chairman's like, I'm just not here today. We'll talk about it tomorrow. And then in the morning, something crucial comes up, and then they talk about it in the afternoon. And you just wait in 2 or 3 days for an answer. I bet that happens in football all the time. Because this isn't FIFA. This isn't Football Manager. You don't submit a bid, then press continue and wait the next day. Wait 2 seconds for it to load, and then the bid is accepted or not. I reckon it can take people 3 or 4 days to reply sometimes. I genuinely reckon that can happen, which must be infuriating if you're a football club and trying to buy a player, but probably be quite powerful if you're the selling club. Because, look, ultimately, Frankfurt know there's 2 weeks left of this transfer window. They either get the money want by just stalling and making it difficult, or they keep their star player and sell him in the summer anyway. So I do feel it's hard to do. I do. It's one of those things where I think Frankfurt are probably making life pretty difficult right now because, look, this guy is a superstar. He's having a ridiculous season. And let's be honest, Frankfurt, as good as they have been, like their season probably, it probably ends the second that he goes because there is no one they can sign right now who will fit in as good as Marmoush. They're currently sat in third. They're going for Champions League football. They're 9 points off the top of the table, but most importantly, they probably will get Champions League. So it's... why is he being so stubborn? Come on, it's not as simple as that, mate. Like, you can't just give in and pay whatever you want all the time because everyone takes the piss out of you then. He's having an incredible season, and they got every right to turn around and go, look, I think he scored 2 goals and grabbed 2 assists in the 2 games since we were linked. He's absolutely on fire right now. So every game he plays, and every game Manchester City wastes chances in front of goal, his value goes up. I do think this will get done. My gut's telling me it'll get done. I've got a feeling, Crossy here, I know it's only Daily Star, but Jeremy Cross apparently does know some people at Manchester City, according to a few people I've read. Apparently City officials have flown over to try and conclude it. So I think there is something in this. I feel they've accepted the possibility that he could go, but I feel right at this point right now, they're just they're negotiating and they're going to try and sort something out. I think City will probably get a lot closer to the asking price than they wanted to, but I think City probably understand that. A lot of it's probably down to add-ons and the base fee. I wouldn't be surprised. What is 80 million euros anyway? 80 euros is... How many is that? It's 67 million pounds. Don't be surprised if they get a base fee of like 55 million quid and then 10, 12 million in add-ons or something like that. I think they want a big, chunky base fee. And I don't blame them, by the way. If I was Frankfurt, I'd be doing the exact same thing. It's their club. It's their Champions League push. And I do think they want, to get the money that they feel like he will be worth. And City will be saying he's had 1 season at the top level. And they'll go... And they will turn around and go, well, yeah, but he's going to be a superstar. We believe in him that highly, and you'll get the money's worth, absolutely. And they're probably right for what it's worth. In this market, look, 60 million for a striker of his quality, if he stays as good as he is, if he keeps improving, it's a really good value. But, get paid. You don't know they bid 59 million plus. Mate, we all would know that, but I'd be amazed if that's just reports, isn't it? It's all hearsay, I don't think anyone truly knows what City have bid. I don't believe it anyway. I don't think they'd turn down 59 million pounds. I just don't think they would do in sterling. 59 million sterling, they ain't turning that down. So I don't think they've got there yet. That's my opinion anyway. Well, there we go. It says they're seeking a base fee according to one guy, 59 million pounds. That says the opening offer was 55 and 59, including add-ons. So if they offer 59 million quid up front, they'd turn that down. I don't think they'd turn it down. Like, everyone, by the way, is saying it's not hard to pay the money. It's only £67 million. That's a lot of money, mate. It's an awful lot of money, 67 million quid. Some of you guys, by the way, are going to be... I don't know how old you are, but you got to realise in the real world, you can't just pay whatever people ask all the time, or you're going to be skinned. Sometimes you have to negotiate, because that is football, because that is setting you up. They're negotiating, you know, and you're being impatient, because it's like they will get a deal that they're happy to do, but it takes a little bit of time to get there. So you just be calm, be patient. You know, like, it's very hard to negotiate with a club who doesn't want to sell, and they eventually will reach a compromise, I'm sure. If not, they don't. You have to respect it. And before everyone blames Cheeky, a budget is set by the transfer team, not just Cheeky. And Cheeky negotiates around the agreed budget, because he's not the money man. Cheeky doesn't go, I'm going to spend 70 million quid, by the way. Thumbs up, catch it. No, he has to speak to Soriano. He has to speak to Khaldoon, and they agree a rough price, and then they negotiate within that agreed budget for a forward. So that's where we're at. I do feel it'll get done. I think Marmoush will become a Manchester City player at some point. I think he wants to play for Manchester City. I think City want him. I'm expecting probably after the Dortmund game at this point. I don't feel it'll be done beforehand. I don't think it will be. I think it'll be early next week. I think like he'll have his big old send-off. And then he'll probably score again, and then we'll see on a Sunday night that a deal has been agreed, and then maybe next week on a Wednesday or something like that, he's flying for a medical. Am I worried that we won't sign a midfielder? I'm not worried about it. No, I think whatever's going to be, whatever happens, happens. My expectation of a midfield is that I feel like City are very wary of how wrong they've got it under... When we signed Nunes and we signed Phillips as midfielders, because Nunes, regardless of what you think about him, Nunes is not a midfielder for Manchester City anymore. He hasn't played midfield for months. He's not a midfielder, so that was a failing as a midfield signing. And Calvin Phillips, the less said about him, the better. That's 100 million quid there wasted on midfielders, and it is wasted on midfielders. Regardless of what you think of Nunes as a left winger or right back, he's not a midfielder, and he was signed as one. For Guardiola. So I think we're very wary of getting it wrong, and I think City want to get City want to get it really right. It doesn't matter if he's good at right back. It doesn't matter. It's totally irrelevant. We signed him as a midfielder, and we're a midfielder down. He's not worked as a midfielder, so it's irrelevant. Like, it's clearly not worked as a midfielder. Guardiola doesn't play in there, so we're a midfielder down. You know, so that's I think City are very aware that they need to get it right, and I think they want to buy a certified, guaranteed, brilliant player to play in midfield. They're probably looking at people. They might even go for a short-term fix until summer, a Douglas Luiz on loan type, something like that. I don't know. But you've got to bear in mind, signing players is really hard in January. And I'm going to tell you why it's hard to sign players in January. Because it isn't FIFA, because it isn't Football Manager, because they are not a name on a spreadsheet that you click, done, deal agreed. Selling clubs have to get a good deal. Players have to find a house to move in. Then the selling clubs have to get a replacement in. They have to do it all and plan it and change expectations of the season in a 30-day period. It's very hard to do. It's really hard to do unless you break the bank and go crazy. And most very good footballers aren't available in January for very obvious reasons. I think Douglas Luiz is a risk-free signing on loan. I think it is. I think he's better than what we currently got as a number 6, and I would very much take that. Cheeky out. Grow up, Adam. Grow up, mate. You are definitely young. You have to be young. You have to be. Because, come on. Come on, man. Guardiola's already the one that admitted, by the way, that... and Cheeky's already leaving. How can you shout Cheeky out when he's leaving anyway? Guardiola's already been the one admitted that he wouldn't take signings in the summer, so... Yeah, but people like Bruno Guimaraes are not moving in January. They're just not. Newcastle will not sell their best player, or their second best player after Isaac, for anything other than an absurd fee. They're not. We've got to be realistic. And the signing a midfielder is very, very hard. Like, signing these players, by the way, signing young centre-backs and signing Marmoush, obviously. Well, act 30, Adam. Don't shout Cheeky out, because something's difficult to do. Come on, mate. I'm sure you're a lovely bloke, Adam. But we've got to be realistic about the complications of what City are trying to do. We have to get it right. We have to get it right, And that's what I'm sure City are consciously aware of. And also, just because we don't know, by the way, doesn't mean it's not happening. I'd be utterly amazed. given everything, given Guardiola's admitted it and everything, if we're not looking for midfielders. It's just because it's complicated. Anyway, also away from Marmoush, which I think will get done, there is other stuff going around, of course. It looks like Vitor Reis is basically done. Ruben Dias has returned to training, by the way. I don't know much about this Cambiasio fella, but City are being linked a lot to him. Isn't he a left-back? I don't think that's true for what it's worth. I don't think it's true. I don't think we'll go for Cambiasso. I think this is just sort of... Maybe it's true, I don't know. It seems to me... Seems speculative. It seems like it's in the gossip sections of the Italian newspapers, but there's not much on it. It's one of those things. Look, by the way, I know we need a 6, but I don't think... Why do people think we're incapable of doing 2 things at once? We've just shown, by the way, we're capable of negotiating for 3 players at once. We're very, very capable of negotiating for a midfield at the same time. These players aren't stopping us hunting for a midfielder. You have to get that out of your head. We're very obviously capable of doing many things at once. If you would, because we're doing it right now. They clearly know that we need a midfielder, but they just obviously either haven't found the right one or just, for whatever reason, have a target lined up for the summer. I don't know. But anyway, I think we do need a striker, by the way, desperately. Because if Haaland gets injured, we are utterly screwed. And I think City are very aware of that. And ultimately as well, if we had Marmoush, there's a good chance we beat Brentford. And that is just as important, as anything else. No, I don't think Cambiasso is going to happen, by the way. Reports say Khusanov has got his medical tomorrow. He's been waiting for his visa. That's fine. I think that's very obviously going to happen. Khusanov will be a Manchester City player. Vitor Reis as well. That's your man there. He's on a plane to Manchester right now, flying in business class there. What phone's he got there? I don't know. I'm not a phone guy. Is that an iPhone? Who knows? Either way, he sat there in business class. I was Googling Sao Paulo, by the way. He's going from that right there. Look at this metropolis. To Manchester and Piccadilly Gardens. He's going from that to Manchester. It must be such a mad culture shock, by the way. It must be crazy going from that to that at 18 years old. Yeah, it's football's weird. How you just... I bet he's never ever thought about living in Manchester ever at any point in his life. They're not all young, formidable. I think people... This is why I said earlier at the start... beware of your false prophets online. They only exist to get your hopes up. And I think a lot of these transfer accounts that are anonymous, they're just modern snake oil salesmen. They're just con men. They try and get a little bit of money out of people by selling transfers, but they never put their face to it, which says everything. If people remain anonymous, and they're liars. Don't be so naive. And all they do is breed frustration. So Vitor Reis is going to be the first signing. Apparently, he's already flying over. Negotiations are ongoing. There's going to be transfers coming in. Manchester is not one of the most beautiful places on earth. Look, take a walk around Piccadilly Gardens, mate. I love Manchester. It's my home. But do you know how you get more frustrated with your family than everyone because they're your family? I get more frustrated with Manchester than anyone because it's my family. Manchester is my family. And I look at Manchester sometimes and go, sort yourself out, Manchester. Sort Piccadilly Gardens out. Have some green spaces in the centre. I get frustrated because Manchester does so many great things, but also does so many stupid things, not to mention the weather. I love Manchester, but I'm also, bid to get rejected. The only thing the UK lacks is sunny days. I think Manchester lacks green spaces. I do. That annoys me. I think the centre of Manchester is a disgrace. I actually believe that wholeheartedly. The Piccadilly Gardens and that walk up to this train station is an absolute embarrassment. Manchester should sort it out. I prefer the north, absolutely prefer the north. But I feel like the way Manchester neglects itself for high-rise flats. Piccadilly Gardens is a slum. It absolutely is. Sort it out, Manchester. It's inexcusably bad. We should be proud of that as Mancunians, and I love it. It's my home, but that's why I feel like I'm educated enough to comment it as a guy who lived there for the best part of 40 years in my life. I'm in North Manchester now. Anyway. Get that baby KDB there, man. I think we're signing. Apparently, want this guy just because he looks like KDB. I reckon. Anyway, so much is going on. Kyle Walker still looking to try and get a move sorted. Oscar Bob back in training, very exciting. Ruben Diaz back in training, very exciting. Lots is happening, you know. Some massive games coming up. Jesus Christ, we've got Ipswich away, then PSG away, then Chelsea at home, and then oh my God, Club Brugge. Then the fixture list is I don't like London either. London's a phenomenal city, but I don't like it. I don't like big cities anymore, mate. I just don't. I'm off. I live in a market town now, so I'm out of big cities. Apparently, PSG and Madrid as well had tentative interest in Khusanov, but yeah, he only wants City after Guardiola wanted him. So this Ryan Taylor guy's busy, isn't he? So there we're at. That's where we're at. I think this is probably true. I do think we'll find more on Marmoush soon. Apparently, City still want Juma Bar as well, the 6'5", massive. I think the Sierra Leonean, 18-year-old, but he's on loan at Valladolid, or he could go to a CFG club. I don't know. But there's a lot of transfer links to centre backs at the moment, and I don't think it's a coincidence because I saw this. Where was it gone? Where's it gone? This little bit of information. There we go. Box defending. Manchester City have the worst in the league at defending the penalty box, which is ridiculous. Is that we are literally the worst. The 35% success rate with crosses. With Brentford, it's 20%. Like that's a 15% difference. Opposition get 1 in 3 crosses is successful for opposition clubs. If you're Newcastle, Brighton or Brentford, 1 in 5 crosses is successful. That is such a remarkable difference. You get 2 more chances from crosses out of every 5 when you play Manchester City. That is not good enough by any stretch. Our box defending is bad. That comes from Kyle Walker switching off, Rico Lewis being too small, Josko Vardiol switching off, which he has done. It comes from Akanji not being in great form. It also comes from number 6's not covering back in the area. So it comes from either a tiny right back or one switched off, who's not there at all. It comes from 6's not defending, because it used to be Rodri. Rodri be winning headers in his own area, but Bernardo ain't doing that, my mate. Gundogan's not doing that. Kovacic is not doing that. It's just not, and Diaz has not been there much. Like, we need to be more aggressive. I don't think it's a coincidence whatsoever that City are hunting centre backs right now. Khusanov in particular is a box specialist. Aggressive, maybe too aggressive. Raw, absolutely. But you know, we'll see how it goes. Guys, just a quick video anyway. 25 minutes there chatting about the transfers. I will see you all probably later for another video. For now, I'm going to leave it there because I've got to go relieve Ruben's grandma from babysitting duties before she goes to work. Thanks for watching. Please give the video a like and subscribe, and let me know what you reckon the Manchester City starting 11 will look like in the comments 2 weeks from now when the transfer window's done. Bye bye. Love you all loads. Be patient. In a bit.